Hello!
Here we are, back again.
Yeah, time to do a movie review. Yesterday, we went and saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Quantumania. I didn't realize until yesterday when I was watching the trailers or the ads for it that it actually, the word Quantumania actually has Ant-Man in it.
Does it really?
Yeah, and it's spaced out perfectly, too. So they did Ant-Man, and then like the rest of the letters came up and said Quantumania.
Man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, So
That's kind of brilliant, actually.
Yeah,
I didn't pick up on that. We have our third reviewer here, Penny, the Wonder Dog.
Penny the Pup.
Penny the Pup. So yeah, we came into this knowing that this movie was getting review bombed pretty bad. It seemed like.
Yeah, when we went into the theater yesterday, no, or I think a few user submitted reviews were maybe on Rotten Tomatoes, but like Metacritic, everything like that, it was still just critic reviews, and it was at about 49% when we went into the movie,
which is pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a terrible rating. You would think that with a rating that bad, that it's a terrible movie that you shouldn't go and see. Is that how you felt, Jeff?
No, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
I had some issues with it, but I would say as far as Marvel movies go, it was probably a middle-of-the-road Marvel movie. It wasn't, it wasn't anything that I thought was really special, but it wasn't anything terrible either. I thought it was better than both Doctor Strange Mom and what was that other one, Thor: Love and Thunder? I thought it was better than both of those movies.
Interesting.
I didn't like Doctor Strange Mom very much.
Yeah, in Doctor Strange and the Mountains of Madness, I really disliked quite a lot.
I thought it was the melancholy of motherhood.
Something like that. I don't know. It's hard to remember. Penny, do you remember? So we were going to record a review right after, but we were both really tired, so we decided to do it this morning. And you were saying that your opinion on it you soured even more.
Yeah, so I came out of it yesterday thinking, it wasn't a bad movie. It was okay, and the more that I thought about it, the more that I really just felt like it was two very different movies. That you have the beginning and the end are both the Scott Lang movie, and then in the middle of the movie you have the Kang and Janet movie.
Those are called acts.
See, for me, it would be an act if like it was all one big theme that really tied itself together. But for me, it was literally like two different stories that you got like bookended. You got one story bookended in between another story, and that it just didn't feel like they had enough to do with each other, other than the fact that the characters were the same. That it was happening to these people in the same time frame, that like, oh, this is all one story in like a day in the life of Scott Lang, but in a storytelling thematic sense, to me, it felt disjointed. I also did not, I got to a point in the quantum realm where I was just sick of the CGI. It started hurting my eyes and started getting a headache, and I was like, this is just too fucking much.
I think that's a valid criticism. If you were not enjoying the visual spectacle of the movie and it just kind of like ground down on you, I can totally understand that. I don't tend to be a person who's like very enthusiastic about tons of CGI. I really genuinely don't like it usually. Especially because like, we have this history now of some blockbuster movies where they almost everything is CGI. Like the Star Wars prequels, you had so many different examples where it's just CGI. The reason why I liked this is because I got to explain why I like this movie so much. I feel like there are too many grounded superhero movies, even ones that go like completely over the top, tend to have too much grounded, and usually they're shot really dark. They look like crap, and they're melancholy, and it doesn't feel like a comic book. I really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania because it felt like I was reading a comic book.
Sure. I think that the reason that you have so many superhero movies grounded in reality is because that was the original shtick with the MCU in the very beginning.
Yeah,
Is
with Iron Man.
they wanted to ground this universe in our reality. It
Make it
wasn't
more palatable.
Yeah,
to
yeah. It
people,
wasn't
sure.
something that like you were supposed to be like, oh, this takes place in a world that has nothing to do with ours.
Right.
I mean, like the first Iron Man movie took place during the Afghanistan war.
Right.
So obviously it was supposed to be like there was supposed to be a basis in our reality. Obviously, as the MCU has gone on, we've moved farther and farther away from that, and that's fine.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I thought that there were
stuff,
I thought that there were some really amazing visuals in this, but there weren't enough amazing visuals to take away from the CGI slogfest of it all.
I don't feel like it was a slogfest.
Man,
though.
there were so many scenes with like that orangish reddish brown hue that just reminded me of like the CGI scenes from Endgame and stuff like that. And I like all I could think was all of these people are in a giant green warehouse right now.
Sure, and I get that. I totally get that. So I was looking for imperfections in the CGI itself to really throw me off, and I have to say it was done very well.
It was done well, and the other thing about it is they did the CGI in a way to benefit some very out there ideas that we could not have gotten across any
Which
other way.
was the point.
Right, that was the point, and I think that like they did a well enough job because like I was able to understand what they were going for, like no spoilers or anything, but like buildings that are alive and
sure,
just weird.
So
looking.
and we will get to spoilers here in just a second, but my main reason why I like it. So we have to understand. The quantum realm is a rename of the microverse, and the microverse has been around in the Marvel comics since the 40s. It really didn't gain a whole lot of popularity until like the mid 60s into the 70s, when there was a whole lot of drugs being imbibed by the creative types and going really goofy. And if you ever read a comic book that delves into the microverse, it is completely insane. It is absolutely bizarre, and because you can do anything in there. Any idea, no matter how weird or high concept, no matter how bizarre, makes total sense because it's a dimension that does not have to make sense. Like, it even gets to the point where they have like probability storms in this movie, and anything can happen. This is it. It reminds me of like pre-Star Wars sci-fi, because before Star Wars, sci-fi was all very high concept, very up your butt kind of stuff, like Zardoz,
Right.
And it reminded me of that, but also in the style and flow of like a blockbuster MCU movie. That's why I loved it. I thought it was really inventive and unique and wacky. Like, you can't go into this movie feeling like you're going to be watching something that is going to be serious. There is a serious element to it, but overall it's
pretty goofy.
It's goofy, but in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, like there were some goofy things about it that I didn't like, but then there were some goofy things. I don't want to get too much into it because we're still kind of just talking about the tone, but we'll get on to specific characters here in a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I want to address the criticism that this movie is getting.
Okay, sure.
Because I've watched some critics. There are a few critics on YouTube that I watch just for the simple fact that I know that they're contrarians and they swing a certain way. And like, I want to hear what they have to say to see if their criticisms are legitimate or not. And it seems to me, because like we reviewed a TV show yesterday, and then we're doing this movie, and we've gone like the exact opposite of these other critics that are like YouTube adjacent to us.
Sure.
And I feel like the criticisms that this movie is getting, especially from that group of people, are all about the wokeness and the jokes.
What wokeness?
Yeah, exactly.
There was no wokeness in Ant-Man.
Well, this is
not that word means anything, but
this is their argument. Cassie got arrested for trying to defend homeless people, and she's an activist, and
so it's woke to like.
Yeah,
what?
That's the stupidest argument I've ever heard, because honestly...
You know what she should have done instead? She should have peed on the homeless people because they're scum and not human.
She should have pointed out to the cops.
I gotta keep drinking. It's my shtick on my Oh my God.
as a parent and as somebody who was an adolescent who was very like I was very gung ho about like trying to get into active. I didn't do it very well, but you know, you're a young person and you realize like all the injustice and everything in the world, and
You want to change the world.
you're trying to do what you can. And like I immediately saw that and was like, that's actually a good thing to do, because Scott's just a normal guy and he's got this teenage daughter who's got, you know, angst, and she's trying to work with it, and it shows. You know, it shows from a parent's point of view, like the kind of things that you can do, you know, to support your kids, the directions that you can put them in.
Right.
And like, it was such a minimal point in the movie that it is so stupid to have a criticism about that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And then the other thing with like all the quips and everything, first of all, it's a Marvel movie. Like they're known for that. And
it's an Ant-Man movie.
And that was going to be my second point, is that it's fucking Ant-Man. Oh, damn it.
I know, you're not supposed. Don't no swearing anymore.
I'm sorry. Are you going to have to edit that out?
No. I you can slip in a couple here and there, but
we've
I've
gotta
been
be
having
better
a,
now.
I know. Thanks, you too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. But anyway, so it's Ant-Man, and Ant-Man has always been a jokey character from the beginning because it's Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
So to have those two things be like your criticism against the movie, and then we'll get into characters, because that's another one of the criticisms that I've heard is the character of MODOK.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. Well, so just before we go into the spoiler alert, my base, because we're just going to do spoilers all the way to the end, my summation is that I really liked it. I thought it was good. It was a wacky Marvel movie that sets up something kind of interesting, but we can't talk further about that until we get to spoilers, so I recommend it.
I'm going to say that I honestly, like, I recommend it too. You know, if you're not that worried about it, if you don't really care that much, you can skip it. You don't have to go and see it. It's not super important. If you want to just, you know, turn your brain off and have a good time, it's a good movie for that. I'm thinking like 5.5, maybe 6 out of 10. I mean, it just really wasn't anything special for me. But
I liked it more than Love and Thunder. I actually liked Love and Thunder. I
liked it more than anything that I've seen in Phase 4 besides. I don't know.
I'd rank it pretty highly. I would honestly. I would rather watch Infinity War over this, but I'd rather watch this over Endgame.
I think I'd rather watch either of them over this, but honestly, I would say that this is going to be the first Marvel movie in a long time that I will probably actually rewatch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And it's not because I'm interested in the story or anything. It's because there was so much in this movie that I feel like I didn't pick up on, or I didn't pick up on enough, that I kind of want to just watch it again to just see, you know, look at things in the background and kind of take it in again. I'll
rewatch it for the hot barbarian chick.
She did a pretty good job.
Oh, she was sexy and bad.
The acting in this movie was actually pretty decent, I gotta say. Evangeline Lilly did really well. Michelle Pfeiffer, everybody has been praising her performance.
Sure.
I didn't really like Jonathan Power's performance as much.
I did. I liked it a lot.
I was really excited at Loki, his performance in Loki, because, you know, it was supposed to be a different version of the character, but I didn't feel...
Maybe,
right. I didn't feel that this version of the character differentiated himself enough from his performance in Loki. And that was the other thing too, is that like they're setting Kang to be the big bad guy for Phase 5 or whatever. Sort of. I mean, we don't know what the plan is, but if we're comparing like Kang as a villain to Thanos as a villain, Thanos was very menacing. Everyone was terrified of him, and I feel like Kang is just a little bit on the goofy side. I mean, like, there were moments of this movie where, like, you saw him unleash his fury, and, you know, he can get angry, but, like, I didn't feel that menacing, dangerous presence from him. His dangerous presence is more in, like, the psychopath dangerous, where Thanos was just like a genocidal murderer.
All right, we're going to continue talking about this, but spoiler alert from here on out. If you don't want to get anything spoiled, stop the video here, go watch the movie, then come back and finish the video.
So,
yeah. All right. So, I think it's the same. Kang.
Right. You were saying that when we when we came out.
Here's my thoughts. Okay, so we learn in this movie that the Kang in Quantumania was an exile. He was exiled to the quantum realm by all the other Kangs because they were afraid of him. Now, we don't know exactly what he did, but Janet gets sees into his mind as an accident and sees that he is responsible for wiping out entire timelines. Now, if you've seen the Loki TV show, you know that at the end of time there is He Who Remains. And He Who Remains is Kang, and he said that there was a multiversal war and that he created the TVA to erase any splinter timelines so that there's only one Kang, and that avoids the multiversal war. Multiversal war is where basically they all kind of like fight against each other. Now, here's the thing. The thought is, there's a couple of different theories. One is that because Loki shattered the timeline into the multiverse again, the Lokis, that those Kangs sprang back up into existence, traveled back in time, and imprisoned He Who Remains as Kang, and that's who we're dealing with in Quantumania. The other is that this is a cyclic thing, that there's an overarching like timeline of him being imprisoned, him dying but being reborn, shattering the timeline into war, and like congealing it to back over and over and over and over and over again.
It could be both. I mean,
it could be both.
Yeah, we'll find out, I'm sure, as we go along.
The thing about Kang is that Kang is not really a villain. Kang is number one, a conqueror. That is just what Kang is. His purpose so like Thanos is menacing because it's in relation to what we understand, which is life. He wants to bring balance to the universe by eradicating half. And that will minimize suffering, and the universe will be grateful and blah, blah, blah. People will live better lives. Like, he has this psychopathic yet idealistic goal. Kang does too, but Kang is so focused on the notion of conquering, of making something into a perfected kingdom without chaos, that he has even less regard for life. He has no regard for time. He even says it in the movie.
Right.
He sees time as a cage. Yeah, it's not what you think. It's a cage. And when you realize how small time is, and you see things like I do, you realize that none of it matters. So Kang is more alien than Thanos, even though he's a human being.
Fair enough. But getting back to the movie itself,
Yeah.
I would say that out of all the performances, I think that like Jonathan Powers was my least favorite. I thought that Catherine Newton, I believe her name is, as Cassie Lang, did really well.
The only thing I don't like about Jonathan Powers' performance was when he got too human.
Yeah.
That's the only part that I didn't like. When he just seemed like this like I am an extratemporal entity. Like, I see things beyond the scope of time.
Maybe that's what my problem
was,
is because it felt like it was a disjointed performance to me.
Well, I mean, maybe it was because he was trapped in the quantum realm, and it made him like, kind of go crazy and like humanize himself beyond like what he's used to.
There's all kinds of theories, I'm sure, but like I said, my issue was with the performance itself, and I'm trying to look at it more like on a technical level.
Sure. I just really like Jonathan Powers.
I think that everybody did a really good job as far as the acting goes.
Yep.
Paul Rudd is always just Paul Rudd, so he doesn't even have to act, and he really doesn't. I mean, he's not like a fantastic actor or anything, but
I think
he brings his best Paul Rudd. And that's good. Michelle Pfeiffer did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Douglas was a little bit more goofy in this movie, a little bit more.
I enjoyed that.
Upbeat than the wife beating Hank Pym that we've seen before.
Yeah, that's true.
But so like overall performances were all right. The one standout performance that I really, at the very beginning when I saw it, that I did not think I was gonna like, that I thought it was gonna be terrible, was Corey Stoll Corey Stoll as
As
Darren,
MODOK.
as Darren Cross as MODOK.
Yeah.
And the backstory is so funny because obviously they changed the origin story of MODOK. But when he got shrunk in the beginning of the first Ant-Man movie and his body got all contorted and everything, he ended up in the quantum realm. Kang found him and turned him into MODOK.
Right.
And he's like,
that's why his body's all fucked up.
yeah, his body's all fucked up and it's so hilarious.
It is.
And then like his performance too, the way that he's so like unsure. He's still trying to be a villain, but like he's unsure of himself, and he's got like this like complex and everything, and it's hilarious. One of the funniest scenes in the movie is when Cassie is talking to him, and she goes, "Can we say it now? I don't even know."
We can say it. Yeah.
She goes, just don't be a dick, Darren.
And he's like, but, well, no, she's like, you don't have to be a dick all the time. And he's like, he's kind of like all fucked up and shit. He was like, but look at me. I'm such a dick. And she's like looking around. Just don't be a dick, Darren. And like runs off and shit.
It's like, but it's. Oh, and then later, is it when he's dying or whatnot? And he's
well, he helps to like defeat Kang by screaming, "My name is Darren, and I'm not a dick." It was awesome.
And then I don't remember where it happens, but like one of Cassie's lines is, "It's never too late to stop being a dick."
Stop being a dick. Yeah, and that is a great line.
That's
a great
the mantra
message
that we should all take from that movie.
Yeah, and anybody who's complaining like they changed the backstory for MODOK, you don't care. You don't care. You never cared.
It is very disturbing when he first opens that mask and you see that just CGI Corey Stoll face, and you're like, oh my God, what is this monstrosity?
But it grows on you.
Yeah, but as you realize, as the movie goes on, that it's supposed to look ridiculous. That's the point of the character.
Oh, yeah.
It is hilarious. It is one of the funniest parts of the whole movie, in my opinion.
It was, and that's the thing, too. That's the whole spirit you have to watch the movie in to really enjoy it, is like that thing with MODOK of like, what is that? Why is, what?
I thought I was going to hate it. I really did. And then like while I was watching it, I was like, why am I making a judgment on this? Just let it be what it is and absorb it and then see from there.
That's what I loved about it. And like there's the guy made out of goo. He's like my favorite character in the movie.
Drink me.
Yeah. How many holes do you have?
Yeah.
And I know it's supposed to be like slapstick and like it's like baby humor or something, but it was actually very funny. It was really adorable and cute.
And I mean, it's a movie that you can absolutely take your kids to.
Yeah.
But it's a movie that you can go see as an adult. I mean,
I really liked it. I the more we talk about it, the more I think about it, the more I just really liked it. It was a good adventure. And I am actually really curious to see like what's gonna happen because of it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I would definitely say that if you're on the fence, go see it. There's no reason not to go see it.
Yeah.
Do not have your expectations set like super high that this is gonna be the movie that changes the MCU and this is gonna set up everything. I mean, it sets up some stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. The stakes never feel super high.
Well, I would say I think the Loki miniseries is more important to watch for the next phase than this movie.
Probably, yeah.
Because like that talks about the entirety of how the timeline works. This movie, as far as how it's going to relate to the broader meta story in the MCU, is more like kind of defining stuff. Because I don't think the quantum realm or the microverse is really going to come into play much anymore. I might be surprised, but I think that this was a vehicle of having a wild Ant-Man adventure in the microverse that also further like details out Kang as a villain and like what the Kangs are happening. Because now we know that all of the other Kangs are back.
Right, and we can talk about the end credits,
right.
the end credit scene. So it's got two end credits, a mid credit scene, and then one at the very end.
Yeah.
The first one, you get the Council of Ricks. The Council of Kangs.
Yeah.
And
including Immortus. Jonathan Powers as Immortus, which is pretty cool.
And I felt the same way about his performance in that end credit scene. In fact, I think I even felt like I liked it even less.
Yeah.
Because I just like the way that he was talking as the African
the African, like what, king
or
or
not
something?
African, excuse me, Egyptian.
Oh yeah, the pharaoh.
Yeah, the pharaoh.
Yeah.
I mean, Egypt's in Africa, so whatever. But it just felt.
Is it?
Yes. Jesus Christ. It just felt very off to me. It didn't feel very natural. And
Yeah.
like maybe he needs more time to figure out these characters. I don't know. But and then we get a very end credit scene with Loki and
Agent Mobius. Yeah.
Wow.
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 And they're in like the 1920s. I don't know,
Something like that.
and they are observing Victor Timely.
Yeah. Which is another iteration of Kang.
Apparently, it's the original iteration. I
Maybe.
thought that I read. I don't know. I don't know much about the character. I didn't read the comic book, so. But from a film standpoint, yeah, 5, 6 out of 10. Technicality, there are some things that I
give
like.
it a 10 out of 10. Go watch it. It's awesome.
There are some technical things I like, some technical things I don't like.
I loved
but
it.
You should make your own opinion.
Sure. It'll probably be wrong, but that's okay.
Anyway, thanks for listening to us.
Bye.
Take care.